This is Dennis Brown with TKR Studio, and welcome to 5-Minute Photoshop. In this first lesson, I'd like to tell you what I've got planned for these video tutorials. And the first thing I should tell you is that they won't be just about Photoshop. I'll also be covering Photoshop elements, and I'll also be emphasizing general image editing techniques and tools typically available in most image editing applications. So it won't just be about Photoshop. I'll also from time to time be giving you tips on how to better use your camera, talking about things like shutter speed, aperture, color balance, ISO settings, etc. Right now I'm putting across the bottom of the screen an email address. If you have any comments or suggestions or questions, please direct them to the email address at the bottom of the screen. I'd be happy to hear from you. And right now I want to just go through some images that we'll be looking at in future tutorials, just to give you a hint of the kind of things that we'll be covering. And this is just a sampling. There'll be a lot more than what you're about to see, but starting with this image of a monkey. And by the way, right now we're in the Adobe Bridge application, which is included with Photoshop. I'll be showing you some tips and tricks on using the Elements Organizer. The Elements Organizer is comparable to the Adobe Bridge that comes with Photoshop. When you select a picture in Adobe Bridge, if you just press spacebar, you get a bigger view. Now this monkey image, the original that we're looking at, is a little flat, lacks contrast and brightness. So we'll be starting with the very basic image adjustments, things like contrast, brightness, and perhaps color balance. And this is before and after. You can see that it's clearly an improvement. Next, we've got a picture of a baby, and the picture needs to be straightened and cropped more tightly. And I also converted this particular image to a duotone. A duotone is like a black and white, except it has an additional color ink, besides black, that is. And in this case, the additional ink color is sepia. I also left some color in the eyes. I'll be using this image and other images to demonstrate a fairly simple technique of doing composites. You mount your camera on a tripod or set it on a table. You take multiple exposures, in this case moving the little boy from chair to chair, and then it's relatively easy to combine the multiple images within Photoshop or within Elements. This picture of birds at the feeder box was done the same way. We'll also be talking about lighting techniques. This particular image was done with just 2 large light sources in front of the subject. We'll also be talking about macro photography, and this particular flower picture we'll be looking at. It was done in a studio environment, not outdoors, so I took great care in setting up lights to get the nice lighting on the flower. And I'll be giving you some tips about lighting for flowers and other macro subjects. In this image I applied the Radial blur filter in Photoshop, also available in Elements. And that Radial blur accomplishes 2 things. It imparts a nice sense of motion to the image, but it also hides the ugly background. This is actually a composite of 2 images, and it's another duotone, and we'll be talking about ways of combining images within Photoshop or within Elements, and also different ways to accomplish that duotone look. This is just a straight black and white conversion with some other enhancements thrown in, and we'll be talking about some techniques to get dramatic looking images like this. Also, skin smoothing. You can see the before and after of this baby. The skin's been smoothed. I'll be talking about ways to remove blemishes as well. Here's a backlit great egret. I'll be giving tips on wildlife photography, and we'll be talking about backlighting, side lighting, front lighting, and also composition guidelines. I hesitate to call them rules, but composition guidelines. And this rather drab original picture of the New York City skyline, I decided to turn it into a somewhat surreal cityscape, which is this. Hard to believe, but same picture before and after. And also, this image I'll be using to demonstrate noise reduction techniques and also selective enhancement of brightness and contrast, as well as different sharpening techniques. So that's it for now. Thanks for stopping by, and I look forward to seeing you in future lessons.